G'day friends of Private Universe. Today we are going to talk a little bit about existence and why it's so lonely. I suppose I'm feeling that way. It's early in the morning. The sun hasn't risen yet. That background noise you hear is the high tide from our beautiful coast here in New South Wales, and it's actually about 2 or 3 blocks away, and it's pretty loud. It's one of those mornings where it's nice to reflect, I suppose, on how we're just thrown into the world on our own, and we're kicked out pretty much on our own, and in between we call that life. Now, there's a difference between life and existence. Life is what we do with our existence. Existence is just being, isn't it? It's whether it's a rock or a human being or a mountain, a tree. These things exist. One is because, of course, they exist for us, but they may also exist independently. It's the same question for ourselves. We know we exist because we are, in a way, experiencing a world through our senses, and things affect us. And sometimes they say that in pain, you realize you're alive. I think you realize you exist. Being alive is awesome, of course, and existing is like I always say, is almost miraculous. If there's anything like a miracle, it must be being able to exist just by the mere fact that there's life on this planet, let alone that we have evolved to discuss life, is amazing. So we find ourselves in this situation with consciousness, being able to discuss our own life, our own existence, talking about it on a podcast today, just off my phone, so not greatly produced, but still what's more important today, I think, in order to touch base, is come to terms, or at least discuss how we're going to come to terms with the loneliness of existence, which a lot of people talk to me about in my psychology practice. And I believe that it's inevitable. It's actually the essence of existence, being on your own, because you can be surrounded by things, people, yet you only have your perspective. You can only see through your own eyes. You can only experience the world through your own body. And therefore, anything that happens is very private and very personal. And despite being able to share experiences with others, whether it's with strangers or loved ones, that experience that we have is fully personal. Whether it's a wonderful experience or one that causes us pain. So in that sense, we are alone, my friends. But like most other mammals, we enjoy being surrounded by other creatures similar to us, and including pets, of course. But us human beings, we love being with other human beings, at least for a little while, not maybe the whole time. We are social animals, like a lot of other mammals, like elephants and dolphins. And we obviously have evolved to help each other out in one way. That is something that is intrinsic. It hasn't been given to us through a little book or through education. I think it's intrinsic. You see it in other mammals as well, because it can benefit you, and you might require the help of someone in the future. So it would allow us a greater opportunity to survive if we help each other, I suspect. That still does not resolve the problem of loneliness. The only way I think it can be resolved is by understanding the nature of existence, that we are caught in ourselves in a way, that we can only feel, think, and experience everything through our own senses and nothing else. We may have empathy or even sympathy for someone or some situation, and we can put ourselves in other people's shoes, so to speak. But of course, we can never truly experience what that other person is going through. Maybe if we love them dearly, there may be a feeling of how that person is experiencing maybe a certain amount of pain or so forth. But of course, the exact experience can never be felt. So we surround ourselves with loved ones and situations where we can experience things together, but in the end, it's just us interacting with the world, the Dasein, as Heidegger would say, being in the world, and that's it. We are existing in a world and we interact. We are consciousness and we can discuss it. And that maybe is a double-edged sword. Most other animals don't worry about these things. They react intuitively and they instinctively work things out without worrying too much about philosophical notions. But yet, the fact that we can do this is important, I think, to then take the next step and understand a little bit more. Ignorance is bliss, they say, and I take my hat off to those who decide not to think about it at all, as long as they're happy with their life and understand enough to survive, to exist, to procreate and eventually die. And there's probably a lot of people who have been in that situation and will be. But once you have a glimpse or a curiosity of existence and making sense of your world, it's important to at least continue to a point where we're satisfied. And in the end, there's no solution really. There's been many philosophers, religions, great thinkers who have really not come to the total truth, of course, because they can't. They're limited by their own existence, their own body, the loneliness of their own being, and therefore they can only describe a world that they feel through their own perspective may be the case. So, but once that curiosity arises, I think you can't go back to ignorance is bliss type situation. Then it's coming to terms. And I believe, after talking to many people and listening to many podcasts and reading some books, that to come to terms with the loneliness of existence is pretty much just understanding and accepting that that's the case. And from there, making the best we can, my friends, with what we've got. Not expect too much from existence. It's already almost miraculous. It's definitely marvelous. To expect also to be happy all the time is way too arrogant of us. Know that when you put your head on that pillow, it's you and your brain, you and your mind, you and your body. Even when you're in a party or with someone that you love, it's still you interacting as a being in that world. And if you come to the conclusion that you appreciate everything the world throws at you, the good and the bad, because you have that gift of existence, despite it being lonely, then I think things become a lot easier to understand, but more importantly, it gives us comfort That is a wonderful consolation, and the best one that I know of. It's not in any little book written thousands of years ago by men who really had no idea of how the world or the cosmos worked. If anything, my youngest child has more insight into physics, astronomy, and biology than any one of sometimes these great thinkers had, but you can't blame them. We are all standing on the shoulders of giants, my friend, and so we still thank them for what they have done, but we're in a different world now, my friends. You need to create your own meaning, I believe. All right, my friends, nice chat today. Hope you have a wonderful day, and remember, friends of Private Universe, that existence is a marvelous and miraculous.